Let's call the meeting to order.
Okay. Agnes Varnarski,
Present?
Dana Syvertson,
Here.
John Kamish,
Here.
Pete Hahn,
Here.
Ed Madden,
Present.
Seth Marcus is absent. I'm Jill Moscal. We have a quorum.
Okay, approval of minutes of regular meeting of November 21st.
I make the motion that we approve the beautiful minutes that Jill created. They're absolutely perfect and
Second that.
highly reflective of what we talked about.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes approved. Moving on to old business. Update on volunteer workday schedules and fall prescribed burns. So first, maybe the fall prescribed burns really didn't work out. The weather has been just really unpredictable. So we really tried to burn over 2 days of the best days that we could have. And also, everybody else just had 1 or 2 days, forest preserves, everybody else, and unfortunately, it didn't work so well. So we're looking in the spring, hopefully, for better conditions. Did you want to mention anything about fall prescribed burns?
They're just going to roll over to the spring.
Yeah.
So everything will be, we'll look to hopefully have better weather in the spring and do all the burning in the spring.
And
Some-
thanks to everybody who came out, even though it didn't really work. So I know everybody took time off from work and time off to hopefully, yeah, but, yeah, Ed did, and so did Peter and Seth, and we did, and so it just, we got a little bit, but it wasn't quite what we expected, so.
I was surprised Deer Grove had a big section that was burned. I don't know when they squeezed that in.
Yeah, I mean, it's about the fuels, too. We just
Yeah.
don't have that many fuels. So it just, for us, the conditions didn't work. As far as volunteer workday schedules, we've also been limited by the weather, and so it's been very soggy. We've tried to limit sort of trampling on some of the sites that we've been working on, because that will just promote weed growth. And so we've been working a lot more at the slough and more degraded areas when it's very soggy and muddy and wet. We haven't been working so much at Morava. We hope to get out there, but really the weather dictates everything, whether it's windy or not, or if we could burn, or, so this Sunday, actually, so we're supposed to get a lot of rain, possibly some flooding. and
We're
then
under a
sleet.
winter storm watch now.
Yes,
Because
we're
they're saying
under
it
winter
could
storm
turn
watch.
to ice and then snow overnight.
Right, so ice and snow and rain, followed by snow, and so it might be really slippery. The conditions just not very good for a work day. So Dana suggested maybe having like a tool maintenance in the garage so we don't cancel. So if the conditions are right, a few of us can go outside and do whatever we can around the slough and Isaac Walton, and then, we have a lot of things that we can do tool maintenance-wise and seed propagation in the garage for our workday for Sunday. So that's the plan for this Sunday.
Yeah, and I mean, even that may get wiped out. If you look, the latest forecast was really bad. So
Yeah, I mean, if we get like 10 inches of snow, then
they're talking maybe
Then we'll definitely cancel.
6 to 11 inches is the last,
Wow.
depending on the model.
I don't know.
So,
Might not be that bad.
Because the ground's warm. It's still warm.
It's still warm.
Yeah.
part of that whole business of the, because the sites are more mature now, and when we have soggy winter events, we really have to be careful about trudging through areas that have reached a certain level of maturity, because it's going to degrade and break up that soil, and then we're going to have disturbance weeds back in there. So in lieu of that, we've been working in areas where it wouldn't matter because it's further behind. But also that led to the request for the winter workdays under new business, that first item A. So looking for additional places to do work when we have those kinds of conditions, which you can expect. That was the impetus for the workday thing. Okay, going back up to the Lycée project, I exchanged some emails with Eric and Patrick. They're currently trying to get a consensus of what sort of programs they're looking for. I think at the end of the day, it's going to end up some kind of a combination between maybe us giving 1 or 2 lectures there and the possibility of doing something on site with them, either with a small prairie strip or a greenhouse program that they would do. They'd also asked about coming out here and
Like a field trip.
doing field trips, but then also the possibility of sort of adopting a small section of one of the sites that they would come out 3 to 5 times a year and do actual work there. So all that stuff's still fluid, it's still in the works, and once they decide, then we can talk more intelligently about what we want to do.
And then talk to the city and park
And
district.
talk to City and
see.
Park District and everybody else, so.
So it's just a concept, just an idea.
So that's the update for that.
Any questions about that? Anybody have any comments,
And
questions?
you said the names are Eric and Patrick that you spoke?
Yes, Eric Verteau, V-E-U-T.
Well, that's okay. It's like I was familiar.
Okay, next is the Wheeling High School lecture that we attended November 13th, because we didn't have a meeting in December, so we didn't mention it. This is really great. Seth set up this meeting, this lecture. We basically went out to Wheeling High School, and we showed a nice PowerPoint presentation. Would you like to talk about it?
Oh, didn't we already cover this at the last meeting?
I don't think we did, because we didn't have a December meeting.
We
I don't know, it's on
covered
the,
it already, but,
did we?
yeah.
Yeah,
We did?
we had a late November
we had a
meeting.
late
didn't we?
November
Oh, that's
meeting.
right.
Okay, well then,
Sorry.
It's been discussed.
it went really well.
It went
It
excellent.
was excellent, it was
Yeah.
great, the kids had a good time, we'd love to work with them, okay, fine, wonderful. Okay,
Okay, the Public Works, I'm sorry,
been 2
Public Library and Park District Programs. Nature Speaks, our January speaker, Catherine Moore Powell, called me a couple days ago and emailed me a couple days ago, and she had what she describes as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, dream job for the federal government come through. Now, how those two things could be anybody's dream job, especially now, is beyond me, but whatever. So she was extremely apologetic, really felt bad about leaving us high and dry, but she said she had to cancel. She did leave the possibility of, because she does have to make some return trips back to Chicago, so we were going to look at when those trips might occur and what dates were available, so I have all that information, and I will work with her to see if there's anything we can do. The dates that we have currently for, well, January is, we've canceled. Terry felt it was just, let's just get rid of it. So we
just a lot
canceled
of
that.
time to try to line up something.
So that's unfortunate,
not-
but we have April 22nd, which is actually Earth Day, and April 23rd is an alternative. Now, I spoke, you guys saw the thing go by with Midwest Coast Green.
Yeah.
I spoke to Brian Anderson today at great length. They have a whole new program that they're unveiling here for park districts, municipalities, and residents. It's an actual kit that you can go through and work properties with, and it gives you all the parameters for how to do things. It has interviews. It's just a really, really comprehensive app for doing things naturally, to lawns, to parks, to city spaces. And this has been 3 years in the works, and they're ready to unveil it now. So we talked about, and he's 99% sure that that he could make it on the 22nd to actually present that tool here in Prospect Heights.
That'd be terrific.
It's
The
really
timing's
terrific.
perfect.
The thing is, it's going to live online as an app as well, and so it's an interactive, organic app that keeps growing because people have places to input and blog their results and the things that they've done as well. So it's really a terrific, top-notch sort of setup. Let's see, summer workday, or summer slot is June 24th or the 25th. So that's the 2 days. And October, the fall one, is October 20th and 22nd. So those are the dates we have to work with. It looks like the 22nd is possible. I don't want to look at anything else until I hear back from Catherine Moore Powell about rescheduling.
Do we have anything lined up for those dates?
No, I don't want to book anything else for those other dates until I hear back from her. So if there's a chance we can get her to kind of one of those later dates, we'll plug it in there, and then we would just need one more person, so.
Can we still do the speaker dinner?
Sure. The Fly a Kite Day, I sent everybody three photos that Marcy forwarded on to me. That's what the kite looked like last year. I discussed that with her this afternoon. She thinks that our contribution to that would be right around $140. The logo, well, you saw what they look like, so it would be rearranged to fit our logo in there with it. I offered putting something together for her, and she said that's terrific, so we're probably going to do something like that.
Can we use that from our budget as a,
It's a promotional item, I don't know why not.
Yeah.
how would that work then? Would the city send
Yeah,
a check to,
the park
yeah,
district.
okay.
So that's the Fly a Kite Day. That's also the, if you picked up the new brochure that just came out, we're all over that finally. So there's lots, all the programs we have, the Bird Walks, the Fly a Kite Day, the Spring Fling, all that, everything's in there.
And the seed balls.
Seed balls.
I have all the seeds stashed away.
We
for the seed
actually,
balls.
for the first time, had the Nature Preserve show up in their catalog of parks, so that's great. The native landscaping program presentation, I also talked to Ryan about coming out and doing a workshop later on in the summer, because I think I think Peter suggested doing the spring and summer arrangement with that. And he said he would definitely be interested in doing that as well. Marcy said that would be no problem to pay him a stipend of $175 is what they look for, to come out and do stuff, and she would just charge anyone who took the camp, so.
How much is the stipend again?
175 is.
That's what I
they
thought you
need.
said.
They come from Rockford, so.
Yeah, I think, Ed, you responded to that it would also, right? That it would be a good idea to do like a spring.
Yep.
Mhm.
Spring.
So that's basically the park district and,
What
no,
if
this-
he
I'm
had a
sorry.
booth at the block party?
Hmm?
What if he had a booth at the block party?
They might be interested in doing that, absolutely. It's
You'll
good.
ask them?
I'll ask them,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Or even the community day, right?
Yeah.
If there's, yeah.
That also sort of leads into the new summer programs for the park district, but let's just wait till we get down there.
Okay. Any comments?
Oh, it's all good news.
Okay. The greenhouse program, there's only 2 trays that still need to be put out to stratify, otherwise everything's been tucked away, everything's ready. Put out a lot of seed already as well. There's still a lot of seed to put out, so whenever we can get to certain areas, we'll do that, whoever's available. We probably still have like 30% of seed left. All the ComEd prairie has all been seeded.
Yay.
Great.
One thing to add to that,
The temporary greenhouse.
yeah, the temporary greenhouse, we have not heard back anything. I emailed Dan from Buildings and Zoning, and I've heard nothing in about 2 weeks.
Maybe we
So
could set up a meeting or something,
I'll follow up a meeting with them.
just to see, because
That's to get the exemption for the temporary holding greenhouse.
we really only need it for like 6 to 8 weeks. Because otherwise, just with the volume, like we can't grow as many plants. So seed processing and volunteer appreciation day, November 23rd.
Go ahead.
It was just a wonderful event, as usual. We processed all the seeds. For the first time, I think we processed like all of the seeds, except for the milkweed, that never gets processed. But that got followed up with, and I don't think this is in our agenda, but we have one of our volunteers, Jim and Maria, who won the Volunteer of the Year award. You know, we've been talking about a milkweed gin, something that processes the milkweed. I think you guys all saw pictures, and it was in our journal. So they came back a couple of weeks later and basically processed all the milkweed within an hour.
Because he created it.
He created it, yeah.
Yeah, he looked at what was out there on the internet and then revised it, made it better. He's an engineer, and the thing worked like crazy.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little messy, but oh my goodness. I mean, you just, instead of hours and hours and hours of processing the seed, you run it through and,
They took literally about 2 weeks' worth of 2 people processing every night and did it all in 2 hours.
yeah.
It was just pure live seed.
You need to patent that and get on
Yeah,
Shark
I'll
Tank.
see.
Well, it's already on the internet. It was just a matter
It's
of,
out there.
yeah, it's out there. But,
But he tweaked it, though.
he did,
Right.
yeah, right, absolutely. So, maybe next year we'll be able to process all the seed, including the milkweed.
Yay, Jim.
Yeah, it's really great.
Is that in your garage right now, or is that where?
No, he took it
He
back
took
with
it
him.
back. I like-
Yeah, he's concerned about safety with the,
Sure.
so he just wants to keep it. He doesn't want anybody else using it without his supervision.
No, it's-
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
Anything else anybody want to add about the?
I thought it was very well attended. Food was great as usual, and we had 2 volunteers have awards this year, which is lovely. So, good recognition.
Great. Okay, next is the path maintenance at the work sites. I don't think we've really done much about that. We were discussing about putting maybe like
Yeah,
a
no, we haven't
French-
taken any action on
No.
trying to shore up underneath that. so-
Seth had shared some really good literature on
French drains.
everything from French drains
Right.
to basic path building and path maintenance and this kind of stuff. And it's a really good read, actually, and there's a lot of good ideas on how to structure some of our paths and how to keep them high and dry and that. So, and for some of our low sections, I think these ideas would be great, especially the low section in Morava. Be pretty simple.
Yeah.
But in general, they kind of dig troughs along the sides, and you kind of raise your path up,
Mm-hmm.
and that keeps it, dry, and then you have the culverts underneath it. So I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but if you got time, it's
I
good.
I didn't get time to read the whole thing. I did peripherally look at it.
They're big, yeah.
Yeah, so I will go back and look at that. I think we should keep it on the agenda. Now everything's going to be frozen, it's winter.
Yeah, there's not
but-
much to do out there with.
Right, but we should keep it on there and then, of course, run it by either the park district or the city or wherever to see if we could incorporate some of those ideas, I think. Peter, anything? to add?
I haven't seen any of those pictures or literature. It was sent to you or John?
It was sent
think he was
to
sent-
me, and Dana, did you get it?
I didn't get it.
I don't know,
Oh.
maybe it was just sent to me, I don't know,
Okay,
because
can
we
you-
had,
I
did you
saw
see
it
it?
as well, yeah.
It was a long time ago, I think it was a
Yeah.
couple of months ago, because
About a month and a half, maybe, I don't know.
I,
It was shortly after our last meeting.
right, I recall seeing something like that. So I'll look in my email, and if you can look
I
in your
could
email.
forward it
and
as well.
Forward it to
Just
everybody.
Okay.
to the group.
Yeah, just forward it to the
Good.
group.
I mean, in general, the paths are in good shape, right? Nothing's growing and they're not underwater yet.
Right.
Maybe
Yet.
this weekend.
Right. Yeah. Okay, then we'll move on to new business, the winter workdays.
Okay, so we put our proposal together for city council and Mayor Helmer to review and hopefully approve. The plan is that we were just going to submit this document and then be here to answer questions. We weren't to give a presentation. So that's sort of what we're doing.
And that's on January
January
27th?
27th, correct.
We're also going to use the packet you gave us to craft a letter to Joe and I will tomorrow.
Correct.
To get out to all the residents of the area.
Okay.
Because we have had a phone call about work, about this work in particular. And that was, that information was conveyed to them, that a letter will go out and it will be discussed at the January 27th meeting.
Okay. The plan, as you all know, draws from our master plan of 2016, where we came up with incorporating the recommendations from the Hay Report into the overall management plan of the entire wetland. There's nothing new there in terms of what we're doing, and all we're doing is looking at, again, using this alternative site when we have really bad weather months, or when it's frozen, we can actually get out there on the ice and work the banks to start removing.
I think the point is that it
removals.
would be slow. We wouldn't just, it's not a project that we would do overnight.
But the area is the North Slough and the lake, correct?
Yeah.
Peter, one thing I did not put in this is that it's a little bit misleading. the photos of the cross sections of the map, the photos that relate to that, that shows a lot of other vegetation other than buckthorn. Okay, so we wouldn't be removing the other stuff necessarily, it would just be,
Make sure you
Just the
specify that.
buckthorn.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's not in the report, so that just needs to
Yeah. But
get
it,
acknowledged.
yeah.
So any questions about that? I mean, you all had it to read. Anybody got any questions about it?
Comments?
No, I gave you my comments.
Yeah.
We're not going to be burning those areas, we're just going to cut, and Public Works is going to pick up.
I think we could have a,
Yeah,
well,
we
could burn
we
it there.
can bonfire it, sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's sort of
Easy.
in the open, but yeah, but it's much easier, of course. And I think it would be easier for Public Works too. And then we could do some shoreline stabilization as well in certain, especially of the areas that are very highly eroded in the spring.
So plant
Plugs.
that, or like, do you see that now after we cut buckthorn, or do we, what do we do?
No, we would wait and see what comes up a little bit and then try to get rid of that because it's going to be nothing good. And then try to do plugs.
Okay,
And then try to work with what's there already. So like if there's invasive grasses, then we would do sedges. If it looks like there's not too much of the invasive grasses, we do like prairie cordgrass, something to stabilize the shoreline, but that doesn't require a lot of management and as far as all the other weeds coming in so that we don't have to.
yeah. That's
It's
definitely
tricky.
crumbling and eroding at a faster rate now, it looks like.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the land is basically just washing off into the
Yeah.
lake, like at an alarming rate, and so it would be nice, and especially knowing that, you know, probably, or maybe, and who knows, that Hillcrest Lake isn't gonna be affected in the road raising project, then it would make sense to try to
Oh, absolutely.
stabilize the shoreline and try to prevent more erosion. That's where all that, most of the sediment is coming from, all the erosion
Well, you
over
can
the
see
years.
on the lake that, you know, there's trees that were just a few years ago on ground, on shore, and they are in the water. I mean, it's going, it seems like it's accelerating almost,
Yeah.
so,
Well, that north end really takes a beating there from, you know, the wave action.
yeah.
You know, everything's
Yeah,
below it,
and
it's wide open.
you can see it even from some of the aerial maps, but, you know, and in retrospect, it would have been nice to put a stake and actually measure it, you know, a few years ago, put a stake in and see how that erosion has, you know, we didn't think about that, but it's certainly happening and it's contributing to a lot of problems. And the buckthorn, I mean, just.
The buckthorn's going rampant,
Mhm.
north side and the west side of the slough, I mean, the
Right.
lake.
That's no good for anything, for wildlife, for water quality, for anything, so it'd be nice to be able to work on that. Any other comments? Okay. Next is the fish study, Hillcrest Lake and Management Plan Protocol.
All right, so we all got a copy of the fish management plan that was put together by Clark. I was a little bit confused as to where this came from and all that, so I met with Joe and Peter, and we got the lowdown. Apparently, we knew about it, but we didn't know about it, so
Well, we knew about it.
we knew about it. The only thing that I think, there were a couple of things that were of interest here. One was that this escalation of alewife. The original report from IDNR had no alewife in it, did it?
No, I mean, there hasn't been in the last 2 or 3 fish surveys, so it was a little surprising, so I don't know.
And there was yet quite a lot of goldfish listed by the,
Well, it's just, that's
IDNR.
just something, and I think even the person that did the survey said that it just needs a sample, another sample. So that's, you know, something that they could follow up with, or,
there
So
was
I don't think we
some- I mean,
necessarily need to be so
If you look at
concerned.
pictures of those two together, you know, they look very similar, so I don't know. The other thing was that it confirms what we sort of said was going to happen there with taking out the Elodia, and now we've got a complete overrun of invasive plants, that it's going to require herbicide forever. So that's unfortunate, but, and then the whole business of putting grass carp in there, I did follow up with my guys at IDNR, and it's just, it can't be, it's not permitted.
There's already invasive common carp, so.
You can't put grass carp into an open water system.
Yeah, because they're gonna go down to the Des Plaines.
They're gonna go
Right.
down to Des Plaines River, so that
Right.
would never be permitted. That's it. Let me just, minor things, so.
Well, I think, given I mean, it's not a healthy fish population from what I can see.
Right.
There's a lot of immature fish there, and the water's not deep enough for them.
No,
mature.
so they're dying off.
Right, and so they would have to dredge the lake to make it a more healthy for fish. So I think the community is gonna have to decide if this is gonna be a fish lake, or is this gonna be something else? Because,
Right.
I mean,
And decide what it was and where it's
Right.
going.
right,
But it's always been pretty much like that.
right.
You know, it's always been.
But I think it's worse
shallow
now,
wetland.
just because it seems like it's shallower. And just 2 weeks ago, there was a massive fish kill in there.
Yeah.
After the last freeze, there were thousands of dead fish.
There were also hundreds of gulls.
And they're all, yeah, and the bulk of them were little tiny
Little
bluegills.
guys, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that that's been going on for a really long time, too. But I think if you can improve anything, in a natural way,
yeah,
to
absolutely.
try to prevent more bad things from happening, prevent more erosion, prevent
Yeah.
more, so, more of that sediment getting in there.
I don't know where these alewives came from.
I don't know either, but it would be really sad if, because it says that there's like 50% alewives,
I know.
which would be really,
And in 2015, there were none.
right. So it's either that's true, and they've just completely overpopulated, and it's gonna be a major problem if they take over the lake, or it's a mistake.
I guess we'll find out.
Yep,
They really don't know if they are alewives yet.
I don't think they do, so I don't think there's
No.
need to worry yet. I don't think
No.
you gotta raise the,
Yeah.
you know.
I was
Too
kind of
much.
concerned too about, they want to keep on treating the lake.
Yeah.
I guess that curly leaf pondweed,
Pondweed, yeah.
that is invasive.
It is very invasive.
Sago pondweed is a very important
Native.
native aquatic plant for ducks and diving
Yeah.
birds, and they want to treat that. And the lake only has 25% coverage supposedly. That's what they're calling for here. So I don't know why they want to kill the sago pondweed. I think that would be really detrimental for the wildlife.
Be the same reason for killing the
Mhm.
Elodia.
Instead,
But I wonder, right, it's aesthetics. But I wonder if, maybe they could specifically target populations that contain the invasive plant and leave those populations of the native
Yeah,
when they do their chemical treatments. Maybe we could reach out to Joe and Peter, and I think that would be a nice suggestion
Yeah.
to the council, or that the council could then maybe talk to Clark. Because if they're doing a treatment, maybe they focus more on the population of invasive aquatic plants.
This study was a free study.
Yeah,
They just offered it to us for free because they want to start getting into the fish counting business.
Right.
So any recommendation here is not something that's going to probably be brought up to the board.
Okay.
So we will have Clark come back and give us their recommendation for the treatment of the,
Okay.
of the lake. But that'll be an agenda item like we always do. It'll be, because it has to be passed by the board, because we're expending money. So that's a conversation down the road. So this
Okay.
here is just, they offered up this free study for us because they had worked with us in the past. We accepted it because,
why not?
Good idea.
what could go wrong?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, everyone starts jumping on the report, like, we sanctioned it and we're gonna do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's not the case. So, but there will be going forward, a
Discussion.
clerk coming in, probably doing another presentation for treatment of the lake for whatever vegetation's in there that's not supposed to be in there. At that time, that's when the case can be made if something has more benefit than we think it does.
Mm-hmm, okay, but we'll keep an eye out for that. Okay,
Yeah, that doesn't happen until spring anyways, right?
yes, right. Anything else? Okay, Prospect Heights Park District funding. You want to take?
It's you.
That's me. Okay, so I made this, so we as you all know, we made a presentation to the Park District, a year in review, and we handed a budget proposal to the Park District as well. And so no official ruling has been made because they haven't voted officially on their budget, but we received notice from Christina that it looks very positive, and it looks like we're likely may get funded by the Park District for the amount that we asked for. So
That's good news.
it's really good news. Really good news, yeah.
And by the way, I just want to compliment whomever, or all the individuals that put that together. I mean, it was
I did it.
very well
Yeah.
presented. And then secondly, I think it was just very, very prudent to show all the volunteer value that's being provided to the community. So, you know, when they're looking at the dollars that they're investing, to see that that's is significantly offset to a much higher degree by the volunteer work and you know, charitable donations and supplies that are given to the commission.
Yes, over half, we're either getting it through our, spending our own money or getting donations to survive.
Volunteers,
Yeah.
But it'll be really nice. I mean, working together with everybody and,
You want to just parlay that into the city budget?
City budget,
please?
yes.
Yeah.
sure, why don't we do that?
Go
So,
ahead.
you know, we were thinking to do the same thing for the city. And so everything, when I did separate it out, I separated it out into city and park districts, so everything was already there. And so I think everything sort of is already there. There might be little modifications, and like the year in review, it doesn't have the rest of it, and there could be some things added. But I think, for the most part, I think that we could do the same thing for the city. And if you guys agree,
Thank you for doing all that work.
Yeah, well, first of
That was
all, I
very
agree. I
helpful.
think it's a good idea.
and it's actually highly accurate. I counted up every single hour at all the sites, and the.
Are you
what-
saying you would use the same, or would you modify this at all, or just leave everything the same?
I would leave it.
Yeah.
It's actually broken out, so
It is.
it says which
broken out
parts
into-
it has the city for funding.
With the city is right here.
Mhm. And so the areas that are owned exclusively by Park District are exclusively funded by the Park District, but are, for instance, projects that were dually funded by the Common Green Regions, and where the city and the Park District invested both of time and funds into these projects, and they are split down the middle, and then administrative costs would be city, because we are a commission of the city. And so I tried to separate it out so it all made sense. And they are very reflective of how we've been working. So, and I actually counted where the interns were, because we have that now that we've been letting Public Works know where we work. I had all of that data, so I could put it in exactly how many hours they spent at each of these sites. And then we have, of course, our volunteer login data sheet, so I counted every single hour of everywhere that we spent. So it's very representative. I feel like it's, you know, we've been sort of doing what we're proposing, and even Christina suggested to, you know, that maybe the Park District should fund a little bit more, because it seems like we're working on a couple of sites that really have nothing to do with the city, or, for instance, you know, the nature camp, that's fully Park District, so she felt like that the Park District should fully fund that.
Well, and the work and effort you put into it's important too, just for, you know, documenting things, and then what if there's ever an audit, you know? We want to be able to show exactly what occurred.
On that note, you know, I put out that online
The Google Docs.
Google Docs
Mhm.
spreadsheet for document. Now, so that was just kind of trial to see how everybody likes that. Any feedback on that? Should we implement that or not, or?
I love the spreadsheet. I have periods of time over like a week or two where I'm consistently adding the hours, and then I'll fall back because it's a really busy time, or I'm busy at work, and I just, you know, there's so many things going on. So like for the last 2 weeks, I haven't entered anything. Dana never enters anything, and he probably works the most out of all of us. So if he were to enter his hours, I don't.
I've gotten logged on my calendar, I just haven't put them in yet.
Yeah, so he has them logged, and I certainly put in all the volunteer work hours, so that's definitely there. And I tend not to do things that I do myself extra. Those are the difficult things, but I love the spreadsheet. I think it's great because it's
I do
it's really good, and it's fluid, and all of us can use it
Everybody
at the
has
same time.
access to it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it.
So, okay, it's
Yeah.
just it's a matter of kind of being disciplined, and when you finish doing a couple hours of
Yeah.
writing up
I'm not-
whatever,
I'm not
Jill,
good
your
about
notes, this
reporting.
and that, you just,
I'm not at all.
Jill hasn't entered anything, and she does so much work.
right.
Yeah, I've got to start doing
And
that.
that's all important, documentation hours for, just like Ed said, if there's an audit, how much time are you guys putting this, that? Well, button, you push the button, it's there.
Right.
So it's just a matter of being, disciplined to enter that. And then, I mean, if you want to save it up for 2 weeks and put, or a month and put it on, that's one way to go about it. But
It's easier when
it's
you do it
easier if you just do it on
regularly.
the fly, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, then you don't have to spend a lot of time at once. I really think it's a great idea. Thank you very much.
All right,
think
so,
it
I mean,
helps.
I
think
can
it's
just
great.
update one for, I guess should we do
We-
it on the fiscal year, or should we do
When
it?
we started it in like October, I think we got a couple of entries. I think November is when really people started entering it. December
Right,
was
but I'm saying,
definitely.
like, maybe we should go
yeah.
January to December 31st, and then we have
Yeah.
a year's
Okay.
counting for.
I agree.
we'll do
Maybe
that.
yes. Can we keep the,
I mean, or should it be on the fiscal year with the city budget?
oh,
No, let's do Jan to December 31st.
yeah, when we do our year-end
Well,
review,
wait a minute,
then
wait a
we-
minute, because
No, because-
that made it really difficult when we were
You're
creating that spreadsheet. We're trying to
right,
split out hours that were accrued in this year and paid for in
because they're
that
two
year.
different budgets.
Two different
Can you
budgets.
do
Two different
reports
times.
off of it, or?
You can, yeah,
Yeah.
you can do everything off of it.
So we
I
can
mean, you
always take the data.
That's true, we can just set the data, and it can just be a running thing, and at the end of
Yeah,
every
do a
year, or
report, yeah,
period, or
select what you
quarter.
want.
we can-
Okay,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
leave it
that's
that
all.
way.
All right,
Maybe we
I'll take
just-
another look at it, and I'll
Yeah.
tweak anything that needs to be tweaked, but, yeah, if you guys can enter those important hours that you're all putting in, and you're doing the volunteer hours already,
Yes.
for the work days and all that.
Yes, I just have to do the last one, but yes, I have.
Okay,
yeah.
but, it's an easy entry, and it's all added up, so.
Yeah, I
Okay, and if you
appreciate
see any
that. It's great.
deficiencies or anything that you'd like to have it do that it's not doing, just let me know.
Like
We'll
an
make it
addition
change.
or
We'll make it
something.
do it.
Okay, yeah, it's great. Okay,
New Summer Park District programs. Marcy sent me an email a couple days ago, asked, she said she's putting the summer catalog together, asked if we had any ideas for new programs. She said she's a blank slate and she'd welcome anything we want to do. So I think we're all in agreement to do the summer camp again.
Mm-hmm.
Any objection to that?
Better start preparing now.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
right.
it's true.
yes.
Growing some leeches?
And then I think
Leeches.
we'd want to have Midwest Grows Green do that workshop. Any other ideas, any other interest, anybody at all?
I don't think we should overextend ourselves any
I don't
more
either.
than we
I
have.
think if we just do those two things, that's it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No bird walks, because there's
summer.
no migrations in summer.
Peter, do they have a date yet for community days? Because I think it's you,
At the same time,
it's the, you,
around the same time each month or each year, so.
it's the first Saturday in June, correct?
Yeah, so whatever that would be,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, my calendar's not working.
All right, so that's all then. And Midwest Grows Green, we've already talked about,
About doing a summer program for the Park District, but having a Nature Speaks in the springtime,
correct.
so that they're covered, and we have a lot of education for residents about responsible lawn care, natural lawn care. Okay.
ComEd update. We submitted our year-end review of projects that we have, we work jointly with ComEd on. I haven't heard back from Sarah on that. We made some recommendations in there for things we'd like to see if they could possibly fund. At some point, she's so busy, at some point she'll come back to us. I have not had a chance to follow up with Stantec to find out about the fall burns that got postponed and see if they're gonna do them in spring, but as soon as I get a minute, I'll do that. So,
And this was something that Sarah just sort of asked us it's not it wasn't like a routine thing that we do every year.
We've never done it
We've never done it before. So I don't know what the use is of it, but we were happy to provide all of that information because we had just been doing all of these year-end reviews and all these calculations, so we were able to send a lot of nice pictures and just sort of all the work that we've been doing from the Green Regions Grant Program and across their sites too. Okay, so then next is the treasurer report.
There haven't, to my knowledge, been any new draws on the budget since the last meeting. So I have nothing to add to it. Based on the last number, we have about $1,500 left.
1,591, yeah. I think there was one $100 check, I think, added to that from the Garden Club.
Okay, so.
Peter provided it to us at the last meeting. I have the updated version.
$100 check that needs to be added onto that?
No, it was added, the last one that you gave. That's missing, I think, in his last one.
Oh, I did not see that.
Okay, I'll
Because I think it's like
check that.
1691 or something, yeah, instead of 1591, I think. But one thing is that we should expend our funds probably, especially with the new budget proposals, and we do have a lot of things that we really need. And,
And you need to spend that money.
yeah,
It doesn't carry over.
Right.
so.
it doesn't
And
carry
And if
over.
you leave money on the table this year, it could ding you next year. So
Right.
I'm not saying spend frivolously,
No.
but if you have legitimate items that you know you need purchase for the upcoming season, you might as well start digging into that $1,500 or $16 or whatever it is.
Mhm. So that, and I'm sorry that I didn't prepare all of that for this meeting. I think, yeah,
Well, we know what our basic needs are. We're always
right, it's tools and
needing
maintenance.
tools, gloves,
Potting soil.
fuel
Potting
for the
soil.
burn.
Well, Herbicide, yeah, of course, we
And
we
there's
know
just
everything.
Plenty to spend $1,500.
It is.
Yeah.
One thing is, the potting soil, though, like, we can't get it too early because it'll
It
be,
will rot or
it's,
moldy.
it's springtime. Like, we can't really store that in the winter. Not like they don't even have the supply in the winter of the potting mix, so maybe we could just leave just a little portion of it for the potting mix?
We have to expend it before the next fiscal year.
Okay, so,
Well, there's fencing supplies, there's,
Fencing, carp fencing.
Exploders.
there's,
Yeah, what about the
We
carp
can
fencing?
pre-order
carp
the,
explode.
we're still gonna be short, so if the potting mix just rolls into the next year, we'll just wait until June, or I'll cover it and whatever, and then we'll end up using the funds if we get more funding from when we get that funding.
one of the things we still haven't done is pre-order the aquatic plants.
If we're gonna do that with the carp exposure. But that was the plan for
As
2018.
long as it's delivered by May 1st, it's not an issue.
Mhm.
So we do physically take,
That's okay.
take possession of it, or delivery of it by May 1st.
Okay,
Okay.
so it must be delivered by May
And they wouldn't have soil mining?
They would have by May 1st.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
So could we pre-order and then have them deliver like April 15th and just
Yeah.
pre-order?
Well,
Peter,
yes.
that'd be okay, right? It can be ordered now as long as it's delivered by then? Yeah.
The money just has to be spent before May 1st, and you have to take possession of whatever you purchased by May 1st. So if you want to wait till late March or early February to order it, and they can deliver it in 2 weeks, and you get it April 15th or April 14th, that's fine.
Okay. I also think that we should also expend the funds because we're asking for more money and it just might,
Of course.
you
yeah.
know,
Well, listen, we've got a need.
Yeah.
we definitely have a need. We've just been of course, but we've been sort of holding back because of those things that we need in the
Right.
spring. So I suggest that maybe, I'll do a major tool count of everything, and we're having our work day this Sunday, so we'll be able to know exactly how many tools, we'll be sharpening all of them. We'll see how much we need, how many loppers, how many, and we could do a serious sort of, I'll put together a list for everybody. I don't know if we need to wait until the next meeting to vote on that, or if we could just sort of discuss it. I think we could just vote on, maybe just agreeing to expend the funds,
Yes.
within the next month or so, and whatever reasonable. If we need to go in the next meeting to approve, we can. We'll just email
Well, we
them.
have time.
We have till May.
Right, right.
We do, but we should probably do it soon, so. I'll get everything together
Yeah.
within the next 2 weeks about all the tools that we need and,
Sure.
and how many things. And then if anybody has anything to add or change, then we can
Okay.
talk about it. And we could even, we'll move it to the next meeting and approve everything then. Okay,
Perfect.
all right. Comprehensive equipment list and budget, oh, that was
That was it.
it. City civil meetings and PHNRC presentation.
We have to do the city budget presentation topic, because we just did the treasurer's report.
Right, so the city budget presentation, I think, kind of we just discussed with the park district funding.
Yeah.
So we agreed that we're just gonna go ahead and, do you all agree with the documents and
I
submitting
do.
it as
Yes,
is?
it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
It's all detailed, it's right there.
Any changes?
And
that
it
you
makes
want?
sense to promote, to submit the same thing.
Be
I think-
consistent.
I think it also shows the city, like, that the park district's very involved, and then it just delineates everything too.
Mhm.
Okay. So then we're done with that one. Then the comprehensive equipment list and the budget, we sort of just discussed right now.
Mhm.
And then the city civic meetings and representation report.
I could take the ad hoc Willow Road.
Mhm.
Okay.
So Peter and I attended that last night, and it was basically a kind of a reiteration of what the committee's plan or the suggestion is going to be to the city council. So it really breaks down into three different sections. One is Willow Road being raised. Two is Owen Road and up into Owen Court being raised. And three is the rest of Hillcrest Drive. So the committee has decided to make a recommendation to the council that, well, that Willow Road be raised and also that Owen Road or Owen Court be raised, and Hillcrest Lake by resident request is going to be left alone. It's not going to be raised.
You mean Hillcrest Drive?
Hillcrest Drive, I'm sorry. There's discussion of how high to raise Owen Court. I guess, is it Owen Road before it hits the court? We'll call it Owen Road. Anyway, there's a number of 652 feet, which is above sea level, which there was confusion as to whether that meets the 100-year flood category or not, and I think they did decide that covers it as far as it would be above a 100-year event. The other choice would be 651 feet, which would be maybe on the fringe. So anyway, they're going to recommend the higher of the two for Owen Court. Willow Road is basically under the direction of Cook County, and so they're going to take those recommendations and basically run with it. That's it. There are a few resident comments. Some people don't want Willow Road raised yet. Others are for it. But it seems to be the recommendation will be that, yeah, to go ahead and take the funds which are there, and they're allotted already, and to raise the road. There was talk also about guardrails for it and try to make them more aesthetically pleasing rather than a steel rail, to have a wooden type of rail or something, and they're going to request that of the
Have there been any illustrations or artist renderings of what that would really look like?
There's cross-sectional diagrams of it out there. I haven't seen any artist renderings of it, but
Or any visual
they
representation?
may be out there, I don't know.
MWRD did that during a presentation to the city council.
Okay.
So that,
Artistic rendering?
architectural.
Yeah, there was like cross-sectional.
Yeah.
Because they haven't started designing yet.
Right.
Because they haven't decided to move forward with it yet, so.
So again, this isn't like, this will be a recommendation to the council, then the council will have to vote on it and approve it. So the committee is basically,
To recommend.
they're making their recommendation for it based on the resident feedback and what have you.
Now, does that make sense to not do anything on Hillcrest Road or Avenue, Street?
Well, there was a discussion about that. So, it could be the fact that, 10 years from now, who knows what the rain events are going to be. Hillcrest might be underwater more. And so the issue is, the money's there now. It can be part of the project. Now, in years ahead, you know, are the residents now going to be complaining that, well, why didn't you raise our road? It's underwater. And then the money's not going to be there. So the residents in general on Hillcrest apparently do not want the road raised. It's a tough situation. You can't predict. So they've basically listened to, and this is all what I hear from the committee. They listened to the residents on Hillcrest and said, okay, we won't raise your road, but, you know, they're going to put stipulations in that contract saying, okay, well, this is what was agreed on, so, you know, don't come complaining to us in 10 years that you're underwater or something like that.
Did the homeowners association make any recommendations? Or-
Well, it's interesting, there's another discussion with that. Yeah, the homeowners association, I guess, if it truly is an association, it was represented by the representative of that. And apparently, it's very unclear to me how much data from the residents come in and how representative it is. You know, I know it's not 100% representative of all the residents on the lake. But they're taking it as it is and going with it, so. That's about the crux of it.
They're going to have a walk path or a bike path along
Yeah.
Willow Road also?
So that part of the plan on the Willow Road part is that, I guess there's like a new law or something where you put an alternative travel way on roads, so like a bike lane or a pedestrian lane or something, and that is part of the plan for the Willow Road section.
even
So
if it
I think
leads-
that's a great idea, because
Oh, yeah.
that's a crazy strip right there. And
Everybody walks that way. Everybody goes around the slough. Everybody takes walks around the slough.
Yeah,
You know,
and,
laps
you know,
around the slough. I can't imagine them not.
I brought that up too. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic there, and I think that would only be the safest and the best thing to do is to include that, so that is. The rest of it's all still going to be, you know, no sidewalks or walkways.
So it'll lead to nowhere, but it will be a safe,
It will.
it will be a,
Will lead to nowhere, just on
Right.
that strip.
but
that
it will
goes-
still serve a purpose of a safe walkway in, around that area.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because residents are walking in the street anyways.
right. So
Yeah.
whether it's a bike lane or a pedestrian lane, I don't know, but I guess it has been allotted that there's an additional alternative route other than auto traffic, so.
Okay.
And then plus, Peter, at some point, that stretch might be open for sidewalk improvements if money or grants are available.
Anything's possible.
Right,
But sidewalks are very difficult in Prospect Heights. The only way we put sidewalks in is with grants,
right.
and generally, the only grants available are either for schools or for public transit.
Right.
So if you're not by the train station, or you're not by a school, chances are sidewalks are not coming anytime soon.
However, that is a walkway to Hersey, and it also, there is public transit service on Wheeling Road, and so it's,
Yeah, so
yeah,
we're working on now a sidewalk on Lead Wolf Road,
right.
because that's where the train station is, and there's public transportation. Willow Road with Hersey, absolutely. But you're talking around the slough, around Hillcrest Lake, there's no public transportation, and there's no any schools. So it would be very difficult to get funding for a sidewalk. Doesn't mean it's not gonna happen,
Yeah.
just means it's very difficult to get funding. So the city would have to pay the full brunt of it. And sidewalks are very expensive in Prospect Heights because of our culvert, the ditches.
Right, yeah, no, I guess my point is that there is public transit there on Wheeling Road, and, which is what, a block away? And also St. Al's
Yeah.
School. So it's just,
I think
Right, okay, that's all.
ideally, I mean, mention was made by one of the aldermen that, you know, it'd be, you'd like to see a sidewalk go from Wheeling Road all the way to Hersey.
Right,
That'd be great, but, you know,
right.
just for what Peter said, it's harder to do than you think. Peter, was there anything else that you remember?
No, I thought it was a pretty good meeting. It was informative. I think there was a couple things in there that they want to memorialize, you know, about the lake and things. It was kind of interesting. They wanted, you know, put note or notations about certain things about the lake, silt, but they want it, you know, in the plan or something that they want that stated, that the lake needs to be cleaned out, or silt prevention, something has to be done, but they want that put in there, I guess.
That would be stabilizing the shoreline around it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
That was mentioned by one member and about some provision, talking about a silt memorandum or
Yeah.
in there or something, but, you know, on top of that, then there's gonna be all these little disclaimers in there, including Hillcrest Drive not being raised and all this stuff,
Right,
so
yeah.
to cover everyone's
Work there.
interests.
Mhm.
Okay. McDonald Creek Commission?
McDonald Creek Commission had a scheduled meeting on November 26th, but they could not conduct the meeting. They did not have a quorum. Their next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday evening, January 28th, which I will either attend or listen to the recording.
thank you. Next is proactive nature management plans.
I have started to update those plans for 2020. As soon as we have some progress on that, real progress on that, then we'll have
Forward
something
it.
to discuss.
Okay. Any announcements to the public?
I don't know.
No?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy new decade.
Decade, right.
Yeah.
Visitors' comments? No? No, okay.
I motion to adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I oppose.
Meeting adjourned.